administrative variance moratorium. That's tab I, Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a discussion sponsored by Councilman Galvin. Mr. Galvin.
So, just quickly, Mr. Mayor,
Mm.
at the last meeting, you guys voted on a moratorium on administrative variances while we go through a process to engage with the public and see if we should modify that. After that resolution was passed, the city attorney and I dealt with some of the after effects. What we realized was there needed to be a modification in order to properly continue to enforce certain provisions in the code. What that change is and what we're asking you to do is to revise your motion to allow for the moratorium, but also direct us to utilize the Board of Adjustment process as a means of curing any code enforcement citations that would have normally been cured via the administrative variance process.
Mr. Mayor, I guess if I might, the reason bringing this back tonight is that once we issued the moratorium a couple of weeks ago, staff at the direction of our city attorney simply stopped writing citations for anything that might have been covered under the administrative variance. That wasn't my intent, that we just say, well, yeah, that's an illegal truck, but we're not citing it because there's a moratorium. So that we can return to writing citations, we need to give the residents a course of appeal. Rather than them appeal to staff right now for administrative variances, they would have to appeal to the Board of Adjustment for their public hearing variance. So it still gives the resident a remedy to the problem, but it, sorry everybody, but it still leaves the administrative variance moratorium in place. And I hope that we'll only leave that in place another meeting or two so that staff can come back with a way that we'll handle this going forward. Thank you, Mr.
Okay. So does that mean we have to?
Sure, I'll move approval of the new language.
Second. Okay.
And if you're going before you vote, sir, you should open up the public.
Hold on, Jeff.
Well,
Councilman-
it's a discussion.
Right, that's it. That's
Right,
the
but you're
thing.
taking a vote. So if you're taking a vote, then you should open up the public.
1 second. Councilman Galvin,
I'll
I don't
remove,
have anything on here.
I'll
that says
remove
anything.
my motion so that we don't have to have a vote and all
Right,
of that.
That's right.
I just hope the council would join me in giving consensus in just a general sense that staff move forward as
That's when all
presented.
the variants gonna go to before the Board of Adjustment.
Right, they would
Yeah.
still go before.
Where do
the
they
board.
go now?
They don't go anywhere because
They don't
There's
go
no
anywhere?
we're not
administrative
writing the
one, yeah.
citation, so they don't get a fine or a violation.
I would think we need to vote to undo the vote we took or modify the vote we took last.
So just say what the language, what would be your motion regarding tab I, Councilwoman Keys? What would you want to vote on?
That's Councilman Galvin.
I'll go back.
Councilman made the motion, which is okay.
I'll go back and make the motion again. Let's
Open
open up the can of worms. I'll move that we approve, this is tab I.
Discussion item is tab I.
I'll move that we approve tab I as presented, that we give direction to staff to continue to write violations for things that are in violation of our code, but to give the residents the remedy of going before our Board of Adjustment. Period.
Is that during our moratorium?
That's when all the variants
have
gonna go to the board before the
is-
Board of Adjustment.
Right,
We
this
have a
is,
six-month
Instead of some, yeah.
this is during the moratorium,
Oh,
but I don't see why we can't lift that moratorium a lot quicker.
Would love to.
But- Right.
Okay, so I got Councilman Galvin's motion as stated on the record. The minutes are just going to basically have what Councilman Galvin said verbatim. Do I have a second to Councilman Galvin's motion?
Can I second for
I
a
did.
question?
Yeah, go ahead.
We did this really quickly last time. We didn't give our attorney advance notice. I know you've had advance notice, Does this work for you?
It was on the agenda though, so
No, I get it, but with little discussion, I want to make sure we're okay with this, that this is going to meet our intention, that people are still cited, but they do have a place to go, because there's a lot of people who are violating that don't really have any way of, mitigating their problem anyway. And I would just like to say, I would like to get our LDRs on these commercial vehicles and RVs, whatever, would really love to get a resolution, or ordinance as soon as possible, so we have some clarification of what we can and can't do. That's all.
yeah, and I would agree with the councilwoman. My moratorium wasn't that this was just something in 6 months we come back and say, well, council, what do you want to do? I'm hoping staff takes the initiative. The reason I wanted the moratorium is because we were administratively approving things that didn't meet our code, and the neighboring residents had zero idea that we were doing it and didn't get to express their opinions for or against. So by taking this out of the administrative hands and putting it in a public forum at the Board of Adjustment, that if you need me to come up with language, I will, but I feel like that's why staff makes the big bucks.
But you're still gonna keep your motion.
Yes, motion is
Okay,
still on the
so do I have a second to Councilman Galvin's
I
motion?
seconded it.
That
Councilwoman,
motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item.
there is no, citizen
Oh, you're
forum
voting
is
now.
coming.
You're voting now, Mayor, so you need to open it up.
Yeah, no, they, on citizen forum, they'll be able to express themselves.
You have to open it before you vote.
It wasn't, it's not a
Okay, so do they have to
resolution.
vote, no?
It wasn't a resolution, it wasn't published, it wasn't a published resolution.
Jeff?
It was published as a discussion.
Mayor, the way we conducted we've been conducting our meetings is that before an item is voted on, you open it up
We've
to public.
never had to open to public hearing when we have a discussion.
Because you
When-
don't
when-
vote on discussion items. You've turned this discussion item into a vote, and
Mm-hmm.
so you should open it up to public hearing.
But I only turned it into a motion because you asked there to be a motion so
I
we could have a
understand.
vote.
Yeah.
I
Well, a
withdraw
vote-
my motion. Just guys, come up with a plan.
You withdraw
Good
it.
gosh.
We have citizen forum coming up. Everybody's gonna be able to say whatever it is they wanna say.
Okay, so Councilman Galvin has withdrawn his motion.
No. Leave
No.
my motion. Leave my motion.
Okay, so
The
what are we gonna
motion
do?
passed.
If this isn't clear, okay, that would be good to hear you say right now.
Citizen forum is now open.
Whoa, hold on. We gotta vote, Mayor. Are
We
voting or
did.
not?
We did. We just did.
I'm the guy taking the minutes. I didn't hear a vote. So all
Five
in, that's what I'm saying. So all in favor of tab I, the motion made by Councilman Galvin on the record and second by Councilwoman Keys. All in favor?
Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item passed with a 5-0 vote.
Citizen forum is now open. Okay. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Dylan Develis, so I live in 1160 Northeast, 137th Street, North Miami, Florida, 33161. So the reason why I'm here, I take the days off from my job, so I came here because I always receive the letter from the city of North Miami for the Harley, for the legal dumping. So I'm a single woman, so every time, so they just come into the like a big sofa, big something trash. So I received the letter, so to clean it. So I think like it's not fair for me. I think city of North Miami should be responsible for that, to do something, either put the camera there if when whoever come in to dump the thing, so they can take the tag or whatever, so they can send them a ticket. So because of me, I already know if I have the big trash, so I have to put it on the front. I can't not put it out on the back of the alley. So I don't know why, so they send me the letter, so I have to clean it. If I don't, so they're gonna put the line on my house, so to pay, so I think.
Okay. They're gonna, that's it, okay.
What's your address?
1160 Northeast,
137.
137th Street,
Okay.
North Miami, 33161.
He's going to fix.
Let's clean up the ladies' alley and put a camera in there.
Don't say
Yeah,
that,
that's
Mr.
illegal.
Mayor.
People are putting in a bag. Yeah. Code.
She's,
Okay.
she's
Madam.
reporting it to us.
She's gonna.
She's doing us
Faut
a
parler
favor.
avec elle.
Jim Garrett, 11610 North Bayshore Drive.
Out of your discretion.
I want to congratulate this council tonight on its vote of 3-2 in moving the city forward. When I moved back down here in August of 2015 from Fall Church, Virginia, I lived down in Buena Vista, okay, north of the Design District at 4410 Northeast 2nd Avenue. I was on the Buena Vista Cafe food plan every day. I ate there at breakfast and dinner every night. I was right around the corner from Coy. That when the city of Miami started their road project on Northeast 2nd Avenue, right above the Design District, because the Robins did their portion from 36th Street to 41st Street. They have inched up, and what they did first was that the city did the mains. They did the water mains and the sewer mains first, all the way up in the stages from 41st Street all the way up to Little River Canal. Then they did the sidewalks and the lighting and the electrical, and then they did the paving. Have you gone down to? I know everyone has gone down to the new food hall down in Little River there, the Citadel. Now, if you go down 2nd Avenue from Little River to Northeast 41st Street, you will see a different neighborhood, a total different neighborhood that is reviving, and people and stores and retail complex and shopping centers are being redeveloped. We need to do the same thing here in this city. We need to start at 4th. When we do this, instead of doing like a little stretch, we need to go from 4th Avenue all the way to Biscayne Boulevard, and we need to replace our mains first, or water main and sewer mains on 125th. Then we need to do the same thing that the city of Miami did: the sidewalks, the lighting, and then the streets. You don't do the streets before the pipes.
Why you didn't say 7th Avenue, Jim?
No, we need to do, because the first one is 125th. That's the oldest section of the town, of the city, and then 7th Avenue second. Thank you.
Oh, that's it? Citizen forum still open?
William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. We had some people visiting from up north that had planned on joining us for an extended period of time to make North Miami their permanent residence. Nadia and Roy Feldman, both of them are very engaging, wonderful couple. And Roy in particular, having graduated from Columbia University and Columbia Dentistry School and a PhD at Harvard, was one of the nicest people that I've ever come across. Unfortunately, on Friday, Roy entered the surf at Hallover, and even though he was a strong swimmer, was not able to overcome the riptide. And so we lost Roy on Friday. He was just in his 70s. The reason I bring this up is that I think it's a testament to North Miami that this couple of such great character and such great experiences and such actually found comfort in North Miami. We're planning on making it their legal residence, and I'm happy about that. Not happy to have lost Roy, but I hope without objection that he might be considered an honorary resident of North Miami posthumously. Thank you.
That's all we're moving.
Jessica Alston, 1140 Northwest 125 Street, Sunkist Grove. First, I just wanted to congratulate Mr. Cazot, because I think it was very wonderful, your efforts and your enthusiasm towards the Clean City project. And I love to see your eyes shine the way they did when you was explaining that project. But I just stand today just as an observation that I did have the opportunity to see them come through the streets with a sweep, I don't know what you call it. And they came through with their blower machines and rakes, but they did not have bags. So they blew garbage together, but they didn't collect it, which means they left it there. If you blow they use the blower and you blow it in the middle of the street, it's going to eventually land on the neighbor across the street in front of their house. So I just would like to see, when I saw it was on 125th Street between, I think it was 9 and 10. It was about a few weeks ago. I was really surprised. And I would just like to see that they include bags and that they bag up the leaves that they collect and blow and take it with them rather than just merely redistribute it. Thank you.
Okay, citizen forum is now closed. If we have any reports from, no?
From staff or from us?
From us?
Oh, okay.
Hmm?
Anyone want to go first? Oh, okay. I have two things I wanted to bring up, Mr. Manager. The last meeting that we had prior to this, there was an item where regarding what is the one I mentioned it to you, the buffer. After that meeting, I had several concerned citizens, not necessarily Mr. Mendina. I want them to think I had nothing to do with Mr. Mendina, but other residents who lives around that area and in other district who expressed to me that they would like for me to at least reconsider some of the stuff. And what I did tell them, I listened, and then I went and they showed me one of the questions that I asked was the property that was there. Now they told me it would be grandfathered in. Their concern is more of another spot master coming in, the whole 9 yards. So what I did tell them that I would like to see is to remain the setback of 15. I didn't think it should be 25, and then I would definitely be in favor. So I'm asking if we would reconsider to bring the item back on the next one, Mr. Attorney. Okay?
If you're requesting, yeah, we bring it
Yes, thank you.
That's it? Any other reports from council? I received a copy, this is supposedly the recommendations that were made by the people who made the audit period, the 2013 through April 17. I don't know whether I'm too late on this or whatever. Apparently there were like 30 recommendations. I just got it yesterday, so I don't know.
So you're referring to the correspondence from the state auditors?
Yeah.
They're just coming back. They
They're
just
just
wanted
coming
us to
back.
give them an update on where we were with all of the
The
recommendations,
forensic audit.
and we already sent that. We submitted that to them already.
Yeah,
And they'll be coming in probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks to just, it's the follow-up that was required by the first audit.
yeah, okay. See, I wasn't aware that, because they recommended that you responded to them by the end of last month, I believe.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We I don't know if you recall, we did try to get a meeting together with you and myself to do the entry interview, but you were unavailable,
That's
so we
right.
went ahead and had the meeting. We submitted the required documents that they wanted, and we're now just waiting for them to give us the schedule to start.
But have you discussed with any members as to how you responded to them? I would like to know what the
It's-
responses were.
The responses are the
Because-
same ones that we responded when we initially got the report. It was just to make sure, they wanted to ensure that the things that we committed to doing, that we've actually done.
Because there are two of them that necessarily that caught my eye. Number 15, where they say city expenditures were not always supported by fully executed purchase orders or contracts, prior to payment, and documentation was not always available to demonstrate the public purpose for the expenditures. The reason why the spending was done. And also there was a mention, number 23, the P cards expenditures were not always properly approved adequately or for allowable amounts or purposes. So, and for that, I don't know. I don't know how the other members, will see that. What I've seen done, because we have to admit there is a lot of traveling, done, by administration here. I mean, a lot of traveling. A lot of times you're looking for people, before you know it, they away. And as a mayor, I don't even know. I don't know if other council members know, but I don't most of the time.
But me too.
And if we could be a little bit more involved as a council as to when people in administration, travel, and not just from the day before,
Let me say something.
but at least a reasonable time in advance, as a mayor, as a vice mayor, as a council member, I would like to have a good, what do you say, notice as to when, let's say, deputy manager, deputy attorney, city attorney, when people are traveling, I would like to know. I mean, we paying you guys. We hire you. We vote on hire you. So you are our employees. So we should know in a timely manner what you guys are doing. It shouldn't be a free for all. All kinds of things being done in the way that people want it to be done. So, and of course, I'm only touching the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of other things, a lot of dirty linens, that are, out there, and people don't want to talk about them. But when you have a little wound, then you try to cover it. Sooner or later, it comes out as a big wound that is, unoperable. So I don't know.
Mr. Mayor,
I'm gonna be gone in 2 months. So, not that I'm gonna be done in 2 months, but our structures should be a strong one. Our foundation should be such a strong foundation, so that other cities and other authorities, because as a city, we cannot hide the fact that we are under a microscope, both by FDLE, FBI. Of course. We are, if things, that's why we get audited every so often, so that, we're lucky enough that they're giving us, warnings or alerts as to what we need to keep our eyes on. But truthfully, in the past 4.5 years that I've been here, I think we've been a very little bit too slack as a council. We should keep a little bit of a leash on administration, on the way they spend money, on their spending and their travel. That's my recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, and I follow you with those recommendations. Sometimes I don't even understand how come, and the whole administration is gone. The city manager is gone. The deputy city manager is gone. The city attorney is gone. Everybody are traveling, and sometimes we haven't even received any memo stated who's in charge of the city. Like the deputy city attorney, the city manager and the deputy city manager were gone last week. I didn't receive any memo stated who was in charge of the city's administration. I did not receive it.
I got
okay,
one.
you got one. I did not receive it. But I don't understand how come 3 or 4 members of the highest ranking of the administration are gone, traveling. And when we have to travel, the administration need to approve it. And when it's come for them to travel, we just receive a memo, they're leaving tomorrow for 3 days, for 4 days, and I think it's unacceptable. The other thing, Mr. Mayor and Mr. City Manager, we're the one that voted for that forensic audit. And when they make those recommendations, they made those recommendations, we were aware of that. But when it's time for you to send the response or the recommendation, I'm not aware of that. I didn't know you sent them.
Nothing,
And-
and that's the point. Nothing has, we've not, the report, the final report that you got, we've not changed anything, we've not
Yeah,
done
but I
anything.
understand that they make recommendation and they ask and they give you 18 months to follow those recommendation, right?
Correct.
And you send the response.
No, the response that we sent, you were aware of it. We gave you the report. All they asked us to do is, they're coming back. They just said, did you complete this? Yes or no? That's all the response was. It wasn't a new response. It's just making sure what we said we were gonna do with the original response, we have actually
But
implemented.
did you send the response with?
Yeah, the response.
I don't have that document.
Yeah, because their rules require them to
No, we don't
communicate
have
with the
that.
mayor because he's the.
We don't have. I don't have it.
I don't know where I found it.
I don't have that document.
They emailed it to you.
Oh,
I don't-
okay.
Who emailed it
The
to
state the state auditor
Uh-huh.
emails it to the mayor because he is the
Okay,
he's the
okay.
mayor.
I understand that.
He's the person that they correspond with, and myself.
Are we gonna
So
get a
he
report
should-
from the
you should
administration
give us a
and
copy, I
were
guess.
you telling me that you follow direction from the state auditor and now you're in compliance, you're in total
Well, they're
compliance with the recommendation?
They're coming back.
But they're coming, but you need to prepare a
Yeah.
report for them. Did you do that?
No. They're coming. We don't have to prepare a report. They're coming back. They're gonna go through the old list and make sure everything was done. That's it. Which is the follow-up that they told you guys in their exit that they were gonna do.
Okay, at this time, and can you certify or can you state it that you're in compliance with all those recommendations?
Yes.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Mayor? With your discussion regarding the travel you were saying. Okay, so is there administrative procedure how it does work? Because that would only be you and Mr. Kazo, because you have the purview to let staff do whatever they want to do. So we are your boss and Mr. Kazo boss. So are you saying the process, Mr. Mayor, you wanted well, first of all, is there a process?
Yes, we have a travel policy that's been in place for quite some time.
So who approved that?
So when I travel, I have the deputy signs off on my travel request.
Oh,
form.
wait. But he's not your boss. What do you mean he approved?
I have to have someone other than myself sign off on my travel request form. That's fine if it's legally
Yeah.
it's legally appropriate
No.
for you to sign off on my things.
So
I don't. That's fine with me.
What would you? What is it that you are would satisfy?
Have some kind of document, either a resolution saying that maybe
But that would only be only to them.
that we should.
Three of us.
We should give the final go ahead. If it's a conference, that's going to benefit. Just like if
She wants you to
Yeah, to touch it.
just like if I get an invitation to go to Vietnam or to wherever for a conference or whatever if I'm invited by a mayor to go visit their city, I have to get approval. But if the manager
But
get,
your approval comes through our process. I
Yeah.
sign off on your travel request administratively.
No, I think what he's saying is no, Larry. I think what he's saying, and he's saying we have to get it as to you, which is the process. He said he doesn't like the process how you and Jeff, not necessarily Arthur, because Arthur could do whatever you tell Arthur and any of your staff do, but necessarily you and Jeff, that process the way it's done.
If you want to sign off on my travel request, that's fine. I don't have a I don't have a problem with it. It's
If I might,
nothing
Mr. Mayor, I think
transparent. It's documented.
it's not.
it hasn't happened before that I can remember. But we probably should have thought ahead and not had all three of you traveling on the same weekend.
If I may, the reason all three of us traveled was last year we went to this was a public-private partnership conference that, as you know, we're trying to do a civic center through a public-private partnership. The two of us went last year. This was the second year. We had to go meet with some of the attorneys and some of the specialists for this public-private partnership. I asked the deputy to come because what I understood was because of where we are in the city with elections and everything else going on, there needed to be someone there other than Larry who knows what the process is. Because right now it's just me and Larry. And so I asked the deputy to come. I don't know what the process was, but that's why he came, was because I thought for the
But
city.
he doesn't
for-
work for
It's
you.
not him.
He's not,
Well,
he's not
you all got a memo from us that we were going. I mean, I'm looking
Well,
at the memo right here. that
what he's
s-
saying
that
is
was
not
He's
the
dated
talking
memo.
about the
March 1st.
process.
Yeah.
So
of
you're
all of
requesting
three.
that, so so next year, if we go to the public-private partnership, you would like a request to come from us to ask for permission?
That's not
to go
what
through
we
the
say. We
process?
are discussing on
No,
the
I would
dais. That's not what we are doing.
If you're
If that's the
planning
case, then
to,
we'll do
if you're
that.
planning to go to a conference, or if you're invited to go to whatever, conference it may be, I would like to see a resolution saying that we want a resolution for council to approve the
Travel request for,
the
maybe.
travel request to
or
be
the
read
mayor,
here
or
and
the mayor
approved here.
review the process.
And
or
that way,
something
it's
like
all
that.
about transparency. That way, the people who are paying for it, the taxpayers, they will know that their manager, okay, my money is being well spent. He's going to get more knowledge. He's going to come back in North Miami
Well-
and bring innovation and so forth. I mean, that's transparency.
I don't have a
That-
problem with it.
yeah.
I want you to, but the council needs to understand, and the same thing with his contract. My contract, there is requirements that you've agreed to for me to go to certain things. So it's kind of baked in. I don't have any problem having you, the mayor, or the vice mayor, sign off on my individual travel request before I travel. It's because I'm doing it anyways. I'm submitting the same paperwork that any other employee has to submit. It goes through the same process. The only difference is my deputy signs.
But Larry, we
Yeah.
understand that. The
So-
same way you have to review the paperwork of the employee and you sign off on it, we want to be able to see where you're going and if it's in the best interest of the city.
Just agree. We can, because it's an administrative process, so we can start it tomorrow.
And when it comes to the P3, as a matter of fact, the P3 procedures, just like the processes, just like the CRAs, there are city actually. Well, actually, I think we've done it, where we've done a series or sections, to get CRA education. Because if you're a CRA, I mean, if you're a municipality, you have a CRA. It behooves us, to see to it that everybody in administration and also the council members should at least be able to speak about CRAs and the innovations and urbanism and those kind of things. And it's the same thing for the partnership. I mean, for us to get into any three Ps a project, we're talking about multi-million-dollar, projects, that are going to be paid where city's going to come up with its part and then the private sector is going to bring its part. And a couple of years ago, we had your company. That was your company, right? Mr. Attorney that came in and gave us the company you used to work with. Yeah. So yeah, they came in and give was it a 2 hour? I believe 2 hour section about private public-private partnership. But we can get these locally too. But if they happen to be occurring elsewhere, and we would like to take advantage of it, of course, so be it. And then maybe the vice mayor might be interested in going as well. One of the council members might want to go. So if that way, the knowledge will be shared. That's all. So.
Can you give us an update on your exchange conversation with the state auditor about the forensic audit?
It was just a basic entrance conference where they say they had the auditor general. They're finishing up Opalaka, and they just happened to be in the area, so they wanted to come by. They let us know that they're coming back.
When are they coming officially?
They gave us a window, which is basically the end of this month, or like between the end of this month and the second week of April. But they would let us know. We haven't received the correspondence.
That's
yet.
when all they're gonna be working on is the
Follow-up,
recommendations.
the follow-up from the prior findings.
What about if there is new allegations, new
They're
comments,
just-
or new?
They're just doing the follow-up from the previous findings.
Okay, if if we, as a council, right, would like to add in the scope of work, how do we do that?
The same way you did it before, but it would be, they're gonna still do this audit, but that would be that would be
If
considered
we
a
request a new
audit.
scope of work?
Yeah.
I don't
Because
know
this,
if
we're not paying for this follow-up. We already paid for it when we
Okay.
paid the first time.
that's when the council have to pass some type of some type of resolution, ask them to, if we want to extend it to another year, or to complaints or any
Yes.
allegations,
The same-
any review that we want them to do.
Yeah,
gonna-
the same process you did last
Mr.
time.
City Attorney, do we have to come up with an amendment on the previous forensic audit, or we just bring a new resolution about it?
That's not a legal question, sir. That's not a legal question. I have no idea how the audit works.
We're talking about the resolution that was passed in order to allow the state to come and do a forensic audit
If
in
you
the
did it
city.
by resolution last time, then you do it by
Yes,
resolution.
that's what we did, yes.
Okay, so you do it again.
Through the manager. The last time when we did it, the board did vote for us to reach out to the audit committee, the joint legislative audit committee.
A forensic audit to the state.
Yes,
yeah.
and we had to make a request for them to come in with a list of things that we wanted them to review and why we wanted them to come in. And then went to that board for a vote, and then they voted to come down. They then sent us a price on what it would cost for them to come down. Then we had to agree to it, and then they scheduled the audit. So it's, I'm gonna say, I'm not sure if it's as simple of, hey, vote, come in, because they still have to take it to their board to determine if it's worth the time of them coming down.
Okay,
to
that's
do
when
it.
if you wanna bring any amendment to the previous resolution,
Well, it'll be a whole new, you have to do a whole new resolution
okay.
and a whole new request to the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, along with
They're gonna have to
what the
go
reason
before
is
the
why you
state
want them to do it.
and pass the legislators and all those, the previous process. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought when they were coming, if there is any complaints, anything, we just send it over to them and, okay.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Attorney, when I spoke to you about that, we have a letter of allegations regarding our budget. Let's bring out, this is what we're talking about. This letter has been provided to, or will be provided to the state auditor when they come down. Correct? Because, yeah, you mentioned that they had it because they asked if there was any litigation or anything, and we
Yeah,
provided
they asked
that.
the question, and that would, we're typically asked when there's an audit, are there any pending litigation, any pending cases, any allegations against the city? And then it's usually for some period of time, and then we provide them.
So we've given them the
I don't-
allegation.
have we
They
done it
ask
this
for
one?
it, and
Okay, all right, so they
they
have it,
ask
yeah.
if there is any pending litigation,
But-
and we provide.
But hear what I'm saying. The scope of their work is to
No, I
simply
understand that.
follow up on the prior findings.
No, I understand that, but when they ask if there is any new allegation, did we submit everything? Okay.
And I think, if I might, Mr. Mayor, to Councilman Bienem's point, we also have our annual third-party independent audit going on simultaneously right now.
Okay.
And Mr. Kazoo said at the last meeting, I believe, that we did specifically ask about that employee's accusations to be looked at in that audit. So we've got the old audit being revisited, and we've got the new current audit about to come out at the same time. Before we ask the state to send more people down and pay them lots of money, I think we should at least wait to see what the third-party independent audit comes up with. And then if there's a problem, then the state is more likely to come down. Because I was intimately involved with getting them down here the first time. And
you have to say I was the decisive vote.
yes.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what
no,
you
and I
gotta say
credit-
that.
I credit
At the
everybody who
beginning.
voted for it. But I know that they weren't just coming down because I was asking them. There were many headlines at that time that sort of gave credence to us asking them to come down. So
And a quick question. I know some agencies was around and asked for a copy to see anything. Are they still looking at the budget? Like SEC or anybody who wanna see some documents?
What is it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, we were, okay, yes.
I really recommend you to stop that line of questioning.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so what about the traveling issue? We're gonna leave it as is?
No, I already.
No,
Yes.
they're gonna bring a resolution about that, and we will address it under that.
You-
Okay.
It's an administrative policy. I told you. We will.
We'll draft something.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do we have any report?
that's when we're gonna call.
Yes, I
okay,
do.
The mayor
Yeah.
gonna,
I
okay.
do.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to announce that we did hire a new budget director, Rosalind Morgan. I sent out a communication to you guys a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I sent it out.
When?
Yes, 2 weeks
When
ago.
did you send?
I sent it to everybody
Can you send it
at the
again
same
for me? I
at the
did
same
not.
time.
That's fine.
Did you get it, Cal?
Yes, sir.
How come Carol always have all the
I send
read
it.
my
I send
emails.
it.
I was
gonna
at
say,
the same email.
Carol
Stop having somebody else check your emails for you. Because
We
what's
went.
important to us might not be important to those.
I just want to welcome Rosalind. She's in the back. Thank you. For the public, she has
Okay, February 26th.
she has
best
some
to
near
see you
30
never
years of public budget experience. Was a former budget director at at Miami-Dade County. She worked for the commission auditor's office.
I'm not even getting nothing. Okay. You send the memo.
Right, I sent a memo with an attachment. Yes, yes.
No, there was no attachment.
No, the bio is not there. You said you were gonna
Go
send it
ahead, go
after.
You guys are giving Larry a hard time tonight. What's going on?
We know, but I'm just saying, you know.
But that's it. Thank you.
Mayor, council, I've got a request, executive session on two cases, Cottle versus City of North Miami and Rona Scott versus City of North Miami. One of the cases is going to trial on April 1st, so we're gonna need to do a special meeting for that. I can't wait till the next meeting. So we'll be contacting your staff. I hope you will make yourself available for it, but I need to get some guidance before we go to trial on this one case. Thank you. There's two of them, Cottle versus City of North Miami, and the other one is Rona Scott versus City of North Miami.
And no reports from me, Mayor.
All right.
Wait, I think you had a report. Michael,
No, you
regarding,
said no report.
Mr. Clerk. Next meeting, okay. Regarding the election.
We got the election. Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.